right? All right, good. So this is just one map of one trip that we took in 2018. And when I was putting the pictures together, I looked at our old albums and I realized that there was a reason why I was seeing different motorcycles in the pictures. And it was because we actually took two trips in 2018 from different spots. And this is the map of one of them. I'll just point out two of the larger places. One here is Chiang Mai. That's the old city that we used to live in for 3 years. And the only other major city in the far north part of the town is Chiang Rai. That's up there. And you'll be seeing quite a few pictures from there too, because we visited that for about a week and it was really, really enjoyable. So this area in here is known as the Golden Triangle, which most people have heard about. And the reason for that, you can kind of see very quickly. The borders of Myanmar and Laos squeeze off Thailand, and it goes right to a point little above this map. And that is an area that is notorious for drug trafficking. And according to what I recently watched on TV, it's still that way.
I'll take that.
And I just threw this map in, not because you can really understand much about where it is, other than the fact that this is Myanmar here, the border area. This is the border, and it's a very small segment of the very far north of Thailand. And I threw it in just to give you an appreciation of the ridiculous and widespread number of roads that exist. This is what I would call a motorcyclist paradise, because you can see from the roads that they're gigantically curved. And the other aspect of them is that almost invariably they are perfectly paved, and almost invariably there is no traffic whatsoever on them. So it's a fantastic place to drive around. And even though we made many trips up there while we were working in Chiang Mai for 3 years, there are still many, many roads there that we have never touched on. So there's one picture of us, just in case you don't know how great we look, and I'll continue with more pictures. So on this trip, one of the things that we encountered that had changed since the last time that we had been in Thailand is the long revered king had died. And they were trying to promote the new king, which, again, if you've read a little bit about Thailand, you'll know that nobody likes him. But nonetheless, he's been forced on the population. And so part of the sales pitch is erection of many, many photos and signs extolling the populace to embrace him as their new king.
Is he related to the prior king?
Yeah, eldest son.
Okay.
So as you know, on our vacations, we love to eat, and we were strolling around in one small town and we found these free bowls of noodles. So we couldn't help but partake. A lot of people ask about accommodation when you talk about a strange country like Thailand. And I don't have a lot of pictures, but these pictures are the best hotel that we stayed in, some small nameless town. And this room was the most expensive on that trip. It cost $20 to stay in.
Oh, wow.
And as you can see, all of Thailand uses a special hot water system, which is not that common in many other places in the world. In fact, when I saw them, I bought one, and I have one in my attic upstairs in case my my regular hot water tank goes bad. It's a really smart idea, of course, because you only pay for hot water when you actually use it. It's an electrical connection. And that's the other part of that room. We thought that was a very good bargain for $20. So outside the room, of course, the area is not always idyllic. And one of the things that you see a lot of in Southeast Asia is a myriad of strangely oriented electrical wires. But right across the street from there, you can just see a little bit of it here, was a fantastic wat. I'll be using that word a lot. Wat is the name for a Buddhist church. And it was spectacularly lit up at night. So I went over that night with my camera and tried to get some pictures. There's one shot of it from the outside. It was bathed in purplish light. And then even the inside, there was nobody around. You know, it was completely unguarded and completely empty. And the inside was so intricate, and you know, the light level was so low, I couldn't really get a good picture. You can see camera shake there and more camera shake there, but I was just blown away by the intricacy of the furnishings inside, especially this thing, which turned out to be, it's obviously a peacock, but it had been made of little pieces of gold paper, and it had been made from nothing, you could see, and straws, you know, the white things are straws. So here we are on the road, and this shows one of the temples. This is the Burmese design, is that right? Yeah, this is a Burmese design of temple. There have been a lot of Burmese people in northern Thailand for many years, and that's a result of their unique style of architecture with the multi-roofs. And the other thing that we love about Thailand is you're driving along the road, you're in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden these crazy things show up. I mean, what's the story? You know, what's all these guys? They're all in a row with the elephants. And this is like, it's not like this is a big population center. You haven't seen anything for 10 miles, and you won't see anything for the next 10 miles. And again, these things, these statues to some ancient king. And that's that gives you an idea of how we travel. That was one rental motorcycle that we had on one trip. Very, very easy to rent, and we plan these things so that we travel with a minimum of luggage. And the design of these step-through scooters allows you to strap the luggage between the rider and the handlebars, and it works out well for us. And that type of motorcycle is perfectly adequate for the roads in northern Thailand. It'll do maybe comfortably 50, 55 miles an hour with 2 people and luggage, and you never have to go over that speed. You never have to go over that speed. So again, this little sites along the road. And here we were driving through a town, and Sandar saw a sign that she interpreted as these Chinese dumplings. So we had to slam the brakes on and buy some. Another thing we saw as we were driving along, we didn't know was there, was a gigantic tea plantation. And there's the sign, and they were trying to attract visitors. We bought a few small souvenirs there, if I remember right. And of course, one of the funny things about traveling in an Asian country is sometimes the English on the signs is not that easy to understand. Do not take the amount of tea. Please dispose of waste into the tank. I suspect the tank is what we might call a garbage bin. Sometimes when we're driving and staying in a small town, by accident, we stumble onto a gigantic festival. They love festivals there, and this was some kind of a fish festival, I guess. And just an idea of the gigantic amounts of extremely attractive food that are available. More food. And there's the meal that we bought. They sold all kinds of little knickknacks. You can't go very far in Thailand without finding funny shoes. And of course, they always need to have a guard dog. And there's the festival at night, or part of the festival at night with the, I can remember I was going around some of the, what I would call Christmas tree lights were knocked out. So I was going around behind the fish statues trying to connect some of them. People had tripped over the wires. So I was trying to do my good deed, my good deed. And this would be something that would be lit up every night in that town. Again, 2 common things, a big kind of like entrance to the central area of the town with pictures of past notables in Thailand. And then you can see right underneath it, the ubiquitous food stand, which is another fantastic aspect of Thailand. You can never worry about getting something to eat. There's always great stuff to eat all over the place. So again, these are just shots of what we call in the West spectacular construction, but this is so common over there. just all over the place. So we stopped in and we have no idea what was going on. Near the Wat looked pretty ordinary, but they had like a storage room with these strange statues in there. What's this guy like smoking some kind of cigar or something? I don't know. And every once in a while you see beautiful women. I can't resist that shot. More fantastic statues. So I've tried to incorporate in this, and I have to apologize. I really don't know if I've got the best of the pictures that we've taken, because each time I go back to my computer and I look at the more shots, and I wonder if I have the really the best shots. But I have taken a lot of people pictures and I threw them in. This is kind of common. We were walking around the grounds of a Wat, and many locals dress up for their day out, walking around the Wat, so that they can take pictures of themselves looking in their, what you would call Sunday best, and in front of different statues and so on. This is another interesting phenomena. There's one spot on the road between Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai where the road goes up to the top of a hill. And for some reason, the top of the hill is considered very auspicious in the Buddhist religion. And so people have donated thousands and thousands of these little prayer houses. And everybody who goes by, there's also another rule. When you pass by in your car, you honk. So while I'm trying to take pictures there, everybody's honking at me. Not at me. Sandar says, not at me. They're honking at the statues or the god that inhabits the statues. So another thing that a lot of people might not know is in Southeast Asia in the last few years, maybe the last 5 or 10 years, like what would you call them? Trophy dogs? Trophy dogs have become very big. So these are some pictures of people at one of the festivals. There's another lady with her trophy dog. And of course, if you are a polite foreigner, when you ask them for pictures, they invariably say yes. And these are some pictures out in the countryside, just as we're driving along. Locals, hill tribe people, of course. Okay, so I think now I have a bunch of pictures of one of the events in Chiang Mai, Thailand that at least previously, I don't know about COVID, but previously took place every year. And that is a really fantastic flower fair. There are a lot of flower growers in that part of the country, and they really go all out. So these pictures are of the parade associated with the flower exhibition. Of course, to do that, I had to jump right into the parade, but I wasn't the only one doing that. Lots of people jump into the middle of the parade and force the people to smile for a picture. Oh, this one's not related, but I thought the motorcycle looked good. And of course, this was actually taken 10 years ago when we were teaching, and that's the apartment that we lived in.
Wait, are those all headlamps on that?
That's why I took the picture. That's why I took the picture. This is a phenomenon known as the mod phenomena, taken from England in the early 1960s, just before the Beatles. A lot of people will know about that. There was mythical fights between the mods and the rockers, and the mods all drove scooters and the rockers all drove Triumph motorcycles. And so this guy is recreating that era with his scooter.
Got it.
Right, and this was, again, this is an old picture, one of the teachers at our school, and I think we were stopping at the obligatory dress shop, and Sandar had just bought that top.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Yeah,
I hope she still has it.
Yeah, very good. And even I've forced her to buy even more colorful than that.
Oh.
Yeah, so the next pictures are when I got to Thailand, I stayed with an old student of ours. So this is like 8 or 9 years after they graduated from high school, and they had been my students. And this guy was getting into the coffee business. So the next few pictures are of I accompanied him on a trip to this coffee blender or something like that. He wanted to buy some machines for his own business down in Chiang Mai. And I'd never seen this before. This apparently is common in Thailand. The owner of cars gets an artist to write these messages on the headliner.
Oh,
So these pictures are of the time we spent at this coffee place, and he was learning. He was, new to the coffee business. So the guy was instructing him there on how to mix coffee and how to understand different types of coffee and so on. Coffee is gigantic in Chiang Mai. I would say Chiang Mai is like Seattle, with many, many places to buy coffee and coffee bars and those types of things. So I'll go through here we had some time, we had to wait for some guy. So we were hanging around the lake, and there he's looking at the coffee machine, and there we are having our own cup of coffee just before we had to go home. Okay, so the rest pictures, the next set of pictures are of the flower festival in Chiang Mai. And as you can see, when they put up the flowers, everybody wants to go and pose in front of them. And when I see something that I just love, boy, I would love to have this clock in my house. What a clock, so fantastic, but too big to carry on a motorcycle, and I didn't even check the price. It's one clock, all connected by some kind of steel lattice work. And here's last year's flower queen waiting for her time on stage, and of course they're always playing with the phone. Different people posing around the fairgrounds. Always entertainment, lots of entertainment, singers, guitarists, stuff for sale, I think. And here the parade, I think, was mostly, I think they had two parades actually, if I remember correctly, one in the daytime and one at night. So everything on these floats is made of flowers. And lots of marchers and people pushing in to get their picture taken with the Hill Tribe people. And there was this group of bicyclists. Also, they were trying to figure out how they could cross the road together and not stop the parade. And not everybody in Thailand is stunningly beautiful. Even Miss Universe has some not too great characteristics. Some more of the parade. Just, like all the groups get together and dress up and more floats. I don't know if they make these new every year. I suspect they do. What's that? Yeah, that's all flowers, And I'll try. I tried to get some real close-ups, but of course, they were moving, and my camera didn't focus super well. There's a group of marchers. Need to smile a bit more. And this is again a flower float, and this picture up here is probably the most famous picture of the king who reigned for something like 60 years. There's a small droplet of sweat coming off his nose with his finger there, and that's the picture you see most of all. They like that picture. And here's some of the flowers that were offered as an exhibition. They have different categories, of course, and some would be for sale. And if you like flowers, you'll like the next few shots. I think, what is it? What's the name of those, baby?
orchids?
Orchids, yeah, orchids, right. Or they specialize in orchids. And of course, anybody who is in the know knows that there's thousands of different types of orchids. And how they can grow with no earth, I don't really know. But I'm sure we have experts. I thought this was very unusual. I believe they were for sale. I believe that it's honey in a comb, and I believe you eat it, but I'm not sure. Again, more flowers. And one night when we were there, they were putting on a show. And again, my camera's a little shaky and everybody is moving, but you can see how spectacular it is. In Thailand, they just like spectacle. They just like spectacle, and they don't hold back at all. Okay, here's my attempt to get some real close-ups of the flowers. And you can see, this is individual flowers or bunches of flowers, all of different colors, all stuck in to surround some kind of statue. And Really, really. I mean, the amount of hours needed, the amount of effort and time to put into to make these things, and there's like 50 of them, 50 floats like this. Girls posing in front. Every once in a while, actually at night, I remember that the parade would stop, and they would stop for a reason, because they would stop because they knew people wanted to run out from the sidelines and take pictures. Completely adorned in flowers. There's some more entertainment guy again. Okay, so now we're back on the road. And in Myanmar, there's a very famous religious spot called the Golden Rock, the Golden Rock. And it's a big rock balancing. So I thought this was funny. I surprised Sandar with it. She didn't know that a replica had been built. I'm sure that's not a rock. It's paper mache or fiberglass or something like that. But it's big. It's big. A few more flowers that I thought were interesting. This was just around a particular wat. And inside, also inside these places, they go all out with intricate statues and constructions. And I thought this one was particularly good. Of course, I have no real idea if it's gold or real silver, but it really looked great. And also murals on the walls, paintings. This one I liked. I saw this lovely woman all dressed up, posing in front of the wat for pictures, maybe for a wedding picture. I'm not too sure. But then I was very surprised because she's really good looking. And how did she end up with a dorky looking guy like that? I have no idea. No idea. Of course, as many people know, where men are concerned, there are a lot of qualities not really associated with how you look as to whether you're desirable or not, like your position in society, how much money you make, what type of car you drive. I have no idea of the other qualities this guy might have had.
Maybe he's nice.
Yeah, maybe he's nice. That's possible. So to me, when we're wandering around, I mean, I don't know if you can tell from looking at the pictures, but when we're wandering around, it's just one scene after another, and you just can't stop snapping pictures. It never ceases to amaze me the time, money, effort, design, calculations made for something that, in theory has no real purpose. The purpose is to show that they are religious and that they revere their God and so on. So here's a picture of the two kings together, the much loved king, who died, I think, about 90 years of age in 2017 or 2018, and the new 45-year-old Playboy king. Yeah, so Sandar has a lot of choices of wearing apparel when we're on the motorcycle. Sometimes it depends on the amount of wind or her mood or how much sun there is out. So that's one of the masks. And many of the Thai people that have to work outside, the people that work in the fields, wear that type of apparel.
Well, you all were set for COVID.
Maybe, yeah, right. We have a lot of those here, but I'm not shy to wear them. Sandar's a bit shy to wear them. She wears a more regular mask when we go out shopping, things like that. So there's another shot of us parked, and I can tell you that I'm pretty sure what that is our lunch hanging off the handlebars. In Thailand, even when we were living in Chiang Mai, our apartment had a full kitchen, but many apartments in Chiang Mai and other places in Thailand are made without kitchens because nobody cooks. It's much cheaper and much better to just eat out. And I think like I can remember looking at apartments and they had a tiny little fridge and a coffee machine and a counter, and that was what they had. Oh, and a microwave, right? Just in case the takeaway part is far enough away from your apartment that you have to reheat it when you get back. Yeah, so this is, I can remember this shot was taken from a restaurant that we were eating at, and that's our motorcycle on the hill behind. And it was kind of funny. There's what we got at that restaurant, but sometimes people ask, well, how do you do it when you don't speak the language? And one of my answers is there's always somebody to help you. And also at restaurants, Sandar uses, well, we have two different possibilities. One is some of the small restaurants, even though they're in the middle of nowhere and out in the countryside, they have like English menu or partially English menu. Other ones, Sandar walks into the kitchen and pulls the top off the pots. And when she looks in the pots, then she has a good idea of what it is, and she can point and say some of this and some of that, you know. I think she knows the word for rice in Thai, so that you can always get stuff with rice. But at this restaurant, we sat down, we were looking around, and we didn't see any menu at all. But there was another table behind us, and they didn't speak any English, but one guy came over and, you know, kind of helped us, and they stumbled between sign language, and we managed to get a good meal. And there's the toilet, different from toilets in the West, kind of like, what would you call it? Open air for cowboys.
So do they have men's and women's toilets?
Well, that's the men's toilet. They have a women's toilet, but I suspect it might be a little less open than that. But I didn't look. Maybe I looked and it wasn't worth the picture.
There you go.
So we were driving along, and again, we're in the middle of nowhere, but this is like a vantage overlook, and they have some kind of a sign there. And as we were taking our pictures and having a bit of a rest, this group of touring bikers showed up. These are ancient, actually they're new copies of an old English motorcycle made in India. They've been made in India for many years and recently started selling them more in the Western countries. But these guys are paying a mint for this. They're paying a mint for this, you know, to go with a organized tour. And these motorcycles probably cost them $70, $80 a day for rent. And our scooter, which does just fine and does the same speed on the roads there, you know, cost us $10 to $15 a day. So, you know, it's just a question of research and local knowledge, I guess. And this part, I really like this part. While we were there, here these girls came. And these are beautiful local teenagers. My guess is maybe 14, 15 years of age. And it really embodied to me one of the differences that people don't really understand between a country like Thailand and Western countries. We like to think, oh, our kids, they have lots of money, they got their video games, you know, when they get 16, 17, 18, somebody buys them a car and so on, and they can go to certain places. These girls had come up, this is Nowheresville. There wasn't a town 10 miles in either direction, to take pictures, all dressed up in their finery. Their clothes are associated, I believe, with a particular hill tribe's history. And then what did they do after they were finished taking the photograph? They got on their motorcycles and drove home. A bunch of 13, 14-year-olds, they have full freedom. They have their own motorcycle. They can go where they want. Just really, really a good society. Oh yeah, here's one thing that I found was funny. People don't tent like this in America. When we go, we stay in a campground where there's no other tent within 50 feet. Here they like to crowd in.
Does everyone bring their own tent, or do you just go and the tents are up and you rent one?
I'm not sure, but that's one particular, that's a campground there. There are not a lot of campgrounds. There's a few places that are popular, and you make a good point. All the tents look the same. Is that the only kind of tent that's for sale in Thailand, or does the place have the tent and you pay a certain amount to get it? I'm not sure. There's a recreation of that photograph of the king that I was telling you about. Okay, this is a good story too. So we're in this town. We'd never been in the town before. I remember the name. It's called Phang. We go into the town. We've got a recommendation for a hotel, so we go in. It's a nice hotel. We're like the only people there. There might be 30 rooms, and look, maybe one or two other ones were filled. So it comes the morning, and we're up early. And I say to Sandar, well, we walked around. We didn't see any place, and places don't open early. What are we going to do for breakfast? So smart girl, she goes on her phone and writes, "Good restaurant open in the morning near me." So by 2018, when this picture was taken, she says, "Okay, I know where we're going," and she takes me out, and she's got her phone, and we're following the phone, and we're walking by, and this place looks like dump. It looks like dump. This is a place we would never normally go to. But she says, "Look here," and she shows me on the phone all the reviews and the photographs of the meals. So I said, "Okay, let's go in." And it was fantastic. It was great. And after the meal, we got the waitress to pose with us. So that's the kind of technology that you can use nowadays. You don't have to know anything. You just click questions on your phone, and the answers come up. And this is the kitchen and washing up area and so on of that restaurant. But it's a place we never would have stopped in at, just because of the physical look outside if we had just been passing by. But because of the pictures and the recommendations on the internet, we knew it would be good. Another thing that they do a lot in Thailand is at night, often they set out tables. This was overlooking a river. And this was one meal that we got overlooking a river. You can see they put a hot pot there with a flame, and they heat it up. I can't really remember what it was, but I can guarantee you two things about the meal. One, it was fantastic, and two, it cost very little money. This was a very unique photograph. Sandar said, "I think that motorcycle is small enough I could learn to drive it." So we were staying in a hotel with no other guests and a giant parking lot. So this is the only picture I have of Sandar actually driving the motorcycle. Some more watts. Okay, now we're back up on the Golden Triangle. And this is overlooking the Mekong River. And the rest of the pictures will be at this tourist spot right up in the tip of Thailand that overlooks Laos and Myanmar. That's what you're looking at in the background. I don't know how that got in. Oh yeah, this is another temple that I thought was really good, because it was so, you can't really see in this picture, but in this picture you can kind of see. Every little detail is handmade, painted and glued on. It's just crazy. And look up here. It's just every little thing, the time, the effort, the money. It's just amazing. I'm not sure what these were. These were, again, a shot looking from where we were eating. Some kind of, could be homes. I'm not sure. Floating, obviously. And there's another meal. A very popular beer in Northern Thailand is Leo. I think it comes from Laos, and you can't get it everywhere. So whenever I saw it, I bought it to accompany the meal. And traveling on the road isn't all strawberries and cream. You got to do the wash. And this is the Asian way of doing the wash. Give me your underwear, Ronnie. I'll do it while I'm in the shower. And of course, she gets a reward, the foot massage. Massage is also another thing that Sandar loves to take advantage of when we're in Thailand. Although it is a bit of a hit and a miss. Sometimes you get squeezing on parts of your body that not that comfortable. You have to guess. You have to guess. Okay, and we're walking around some temples here, and this is what I thought was the world's smallest pineapple. I've never seen a pineapple on a stick like that. And some pictures of people taking pictures of themselves, posing. And sometimes you see this would be like a local technical college where they're teaching the kids to be tourist guides. More Watts. And again, I can't emphasize enough, these are nowhere places. These are places that nobody knows about and that invariably are empty. You're just driving along the road and you see this place and say, oh, let's go stop and have a look-see.
Ron, are these
Yes.
Watts, are they used? Like,
Yeah,
are they
of course,
used
they are.
regularly?
Yeah, all of them that are in good condition are invariably used. My guess is the use would be mostly on some weekend days and for local festivals and meetings, you know, of people in the town. That would be my guess. The ones like the one that you're looking at now, where it's in an area of very sparse population. Of course, there are many Watts in Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai and Bangkok, where when you go in, there's hundreds and hundreds of people, both Thais and tourists. These Watts that we're showing here are not like that. I don't know if this was meant to be comical or not. I just haven't seen a statue with eyeglasses before. And I love these little guys. I don't know what the story is there. I don't know what emotion they're supposed to be evoking. They don't really look like fearsome guards to me. Okay, this is now the next bunch of pictures are in Chiang Rai, and these things that I'm going to show you now are new, meaning they weren't there when we were working there. And again, this is an idea of, this is where money is spent. This is a gigantic building built in this style where you have to go up floors by floor by floor, right up to the top, and you'll see some interior pictures of it. So I tried to get a feeling, you know, look at these are the windows here, each floor. Again, I'd never seen such construction in my life, and not built for any purpose that I could see other than a place to worship and a place to attract people to come and look at. And I thought this was amusing that the guys are cleaning. This is the lower floor of that triangular construction, and he's cleaning the cobwebs off the ceiling. Again, cleaning the cobwebs off the ceiling. And inside, you can see on each floor are gigantically sculptured wooden statues. And we went up each floor, and you'll see some more pictures. The biggest statues were on the ground floor, which had the highest ceiling, of course. And I'm not sure what that was, but I'm pretending to donate. Or maybe I actually did donate. And this is one of the smaller ones, but you can see, I mean, how long would it take to, you know, to make such a thing? And there were like, what, 50 of them in there.
He's happy you donated.
Yeah, right. And other people, I don't know, I think this is, they put their lottery tickets here or something. I'm not sure what it is. You can see now we're up on second or third floor and looking down. And it's modern. They have elevated, what do they have? Like a power wheelchair lift if you need to move floors without, if you're in a wheelchair. And this also was on the same grounds as that big triangular building. And this is spectacular, and this is of no interest to anybody. You know, if it was in another country, people would come from miles around to see this. This is a nothing thing compared to what else I have. And what else is this?
Does Ron, does the construction, do they need the employment? Like, are building those things employing lots of people?
Well, I would say so. If you look at this statue here, these are windows that you can take an elevator up and look out of. That's how big it is. That's how big it is. And that was on the same grounds as the last place I showed you.
Wow.
More pictures. Yeah, just we couldn't believe it. We'd heard that there was some kind of big statue, and we took our scooter and drove around, and when we first saw it, we couldn't believe it. That's not real. And it was up a bit of a slope. So if you didn't want to walk, you could take the free, Miss Kitty shuttle bus. And after our exploring, this is Sandar enjoying, a rest on the ground floor. They had this table set out. And this part, I tried to get somebody to explain to me, why do they have so many fire extinguishers? I couldn't find out. This is rice, obviously. You buy it or donate for it or something. Not too sure. And these are the escorts for the elevator. If you buy, we did not take the elevator up to the top of that human sculpture, but I'd seen them kind of like behaving very well towards the guests, and ushering them into the elevator and accompanying them up. And I just went up to them and I said, can you strike a pose for me? I just want to take a picture. You look so fantastic in your uniforms. So they said, oh, yes, sir. White guys get a lot of privilege. So I saw this girl attending to the plants outside, and this is the staircase behind her. And I noticed this Fanica on her cheek, so I knew she would be Burmese, and indeed she was Burmese. A lot of Burmese workers in Thailand, like there's a lot of Mexican workers in the United States.
What is Banica on her
face?
It's
you can't see it very well in this picture, but it's like a coating that they put on their cheeks. It's partially culturally related and partially claimed to be a sunblock.
Oh.
So this is another one that is brand new, that we'd never seen. This, again, another wat built to attract people. And those people would be both international tourists and national tourists. And I cannot show how spectacular it is, just a few photographs. There's an attempt to show more of the front, bad exposure. There's again another one of the statues that they built. All of this stuff is done from scratch, just from scratch. I don't know how they do it. I've seen a little bit of like a chicken wire and concrete over chicken wire and then sculpted on top for the final. And there's the inside, a couple of worshipers. And they had some souvenirs, but I thought that they were too expensive. I think this is, I don't know if it looks like it's only one, like a, what do you call it? Like a dinner plate or something. Yeah, but 295 baht, that's American dollars, that's like about $11 or $12. So I thought that was pretty expensive. Even this one was too expensive for me. The thing you fan yourself with to stay cool. Okay, so I took this picture because of two reasons. One, this was far and away the best hotel we stayed in Thailand. And it was the best hotel not because of the room. The room was okay. It was not the best hotel because it was cheap. It was reasonably cheap, but it wasn't super cheap. But the owner of the hotel was unbelievable. He really knew, he acted like the owner or the manager of every hotel should act, but you very rarely see it. And so the other reason I took this picture is so that to show people that even if you don't know Thai, you can still find a hotel because somewhere they have the word hotel. And I can't remember whether we were just driving along and saw this place, or we must have seen something on the internet. Somebody said, oh, this is a good place to stay. And it turned out to be one of the best. And the reason it was the best is this guy on the left. He was so, what would you call it? So welcoming. And here, what he's doing is he's showing Sandar that, and I'm kind of quoting him here. At the normal hotels, they wash their towels in the hotel, but not here. I send my towels out for professional. And here, look, I show you. And he brings them up from behind the counter. See, my towels, when they come back, they're professionally cleaned, professionally laundered and packed. So here, once we were having breakfast, we got caught in the rain, and I threw our umbrella on top of the seat. I don't think it would do much good. We got some shopping pictures too. Shopping. I mean, I hate going shopping in Australia. As people may know from other things that I've said, we love shopping in the United States, especially at secondhand stores because they have so much stuff we've never seen before. Thailand, again, is a whole other experience. You go to the shopping center there and there is so much junk to buy. It's mind-boggling. Okay, anybody want to guess? What's that? I'm so happy I found that picture. I'd lost it for so long. Kathleen, you want to make a guess?
Necklace?
A light switch cover. No, what?
Phone cover to clip on the back of your phone. Now, I want that.
Oh,
That's the
sure, I
package,
see
and
it.
there's the phone cover. Now, that's the phone cover I want, but I didn't buy it. And of course, you have to have the correct iPhone or whatever, you know. That's the best one I ever seen. So here's other examples of what you see when you're walking around in the shopping center. There's a typical store. Need a stuffed toy? And this store had the biggest selection of brassieres and underwear I'd ever seen in my life. A whole area of the store, nothing but brassieres and underwear. I couldn't believe it. Okay, so now we're back in Chiang Rai and we're going food shopping. We about the second day or maybe the third day that we were there, we found the local market, much to our delight. So now we knew we could get a really good feed. And they have a try before you buy idea. You can go and pick at samples. I think that's like a crispy pork or something like that. Sandar is trying to decide what to buy. Fish. I'm not sure if we bought fish that night, whole fish. And other things, sometimes I don't know. It looks like mini tomatoes, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's something more exotic. And there's our supper. We'd collected a whole bunch of plastic bags. And when we got back to the hotel, before we get back to the hotel, this is another thing that commonly happens in Thailand. The blind people make a living by going around to different areas where people congregate and singing and getting donations. So when we get back to the hotel, this best hotelier in the world saw us coming with our plastic bags. He rushes, grabs his tablecloth, puts it on the table just outside the front door, and we pull up 2 chairs, and there's our supper.
Aww.
All our plastic bags have been removed, and I think he brought us plates too. We don't carry with plates. Oh, you need plates, and here's some glasses. You know, I mean, wow, really something. And here's one time when I guess he was, I don't know, transferring information about traveling from one phone to another. Okay, you'll like this story. We're driving along on our motorcycle in the middle of nowhere, flat tire. And I had noticed a motorcycle repair shop about maybe 3 or 4 miles back. And I think it was a flat on the front. And you can drive on a flat on the front. Maybe it was a flat on the back. No, it was a flat on the back. I remember now. But with 2 people on the motorcycle, if you try driving on a flat tire with 2 people on the back, you probably wreck the tire and the tube. And I had to go about 3 or 4 kilometers. So I dumped my wife. I said, you have to get off. You have to get off. So you have to walk or rest. And I'll come back when I have it fixed. So reluctantly, she said yes. And we're in the middle of nowhere, you know, a few houses by the side of the road, but nothing. So I very slowly eased the bike back to the shop. And of course, when a white guy comes into the shop, everybody stops. You know, all the jobs that they've been doing, everybody stops. And the white guy, and this is my motorcycle here, the white guy moves his motorcycle in and they recognize right away what the problem is and they start working on it. You don't have to speak any language. They know what to do. And so the language I had to speak there was I had to tell the guy, oh, look, my wife, I left her back on the road, you know, 2 or 3 miles back. So the guy says, no problem. He gives me the keys to his motorcycle. I jump on his motorcycle. I drive back up the road. I see Sandar very dejectedly walking down the road, helmet in hand. She jumps on the bike and we drive back to the shop. So the guys are there, they're working on my bike. And in this instance, to fix the flat tire, you have to take the exhaust pipe off and you have to take the wheel off, of course. And in the corner, there's two 12-year-old guys learning how to rebuild a motor, you know. No manual, no nothing. They're just.
Wow. So was
So here
it
they are.
shortly?
Yeah, go ahead.
So was it shortly after that experience that Sandar wanted to learn how to operate one of these motorcycles?
No, I think it was on a previous trip, obviously, because not the same bike. So anyway, now they've got two guys working on my bike, taking off the parts that they need to get the rear wheel off to put a new tube in the back wheel. And here's me afterwards with the old tube. I just wanted to take it, for a souvenir or whatever. This took, like I say, I borrowed the guy's motorcycle, drove back, picked up my wife, came back, sat around, the two guys working on my bike, take the wheel off, take the exhaust pipe off, put a new tube in it. He gives me the bill, $4. Unbelievable, $4.
Wow.
When I tell this to friends of mine in the States, they say, oh gosh, if I want a local guy to work on my bike, I have to make an appointment like a week in advance. And they charge $100 an hour. This is $4. A new tube, label, everything. That's why we like Thailand. This is the royal family member that everybody thinks should be the new ruler, but she's a woman, a sister of the new king. And I'm not sure what this guy. Well, we were at a local store. I think this is this honey thing again. This guy was parked outside the local 7-Eleven, trying to sell them. Okay, and here we are. This is the owner of one of the hotels. He turned out to be a Burmese guy, so Sandar got to talk Burmese to him for half an hour or so. And this is the place that we stayed in. He had individual cabins. Again, this was probably about $15 for the night. Okay, I'm gonna have to go a little fast here. We got 9 minutes left. This is an old communist rebel that's very famous up in northern Thailand, and this is his old headquarters. It's been made into a bit of a museum. The day we were there, we were the only people there. Not many people know about it. He was associated with the Chinese government, if you could call it that, were eventually ran out to Taiwan. It was a faction that operated from northern Thailand into China, but they lost. I have a statue of him there. Okay, this is funny too. We were going along the road and we knew we were right near the Burmese border. So Sandar says, oh, I want to go to Burma. I want to go to Burma. So we get up and we go around the corner and there's a post and there's an army guy in there. So we stopped the bike and we kind of like signaled to him, we want to go down this road. We want to go down this road because we're pretty sure the border is there. And he didn't say much and we hung around for a while and eventually we kind of waved at him and he waved back at us. So we figured, okay, I don't think he's going to shoot. Let's go. So we took the bike down the road. This is you can see the barbed wire there. That I think that was at one time to close off the road, but it was not closed off. So we took the bike down the little path, and here's more barbed wire. And here's where we figured this must be the exact border between Thailand and Burma, where this roll of barbed wire was laid across the road. So we went another 50 feet, and Sandar took picture. Hey, see, I'm back in Burma. So it turns out, and then we went back, it turns out there was this gigantic Chinese cemetery there. A lot of people in Thailand and in Burma are of Chinese ethnic origin. So here's a few pictures of the monuments that they put up. Okay, I like this one because this shows all the stuff I've been bragging about, claiming about the roads. Here I just stopped, I said, here's what the roads are like. Perfect blacktop, fantastic countryside, curves, nobody on them. another Wat that we went to. And yeah, we were driving in the middle of nowhere and we saw this really fancy resort and we thought, oh, let's go in and take a look. And they had this like swimming pool and so on. And actually in this resort, they had a big central building here, but the people actually stayed in individual cabins back here. But of course, that was way too expensive for us. There's the place that we stayed in. Not really. So this is right on the Thai-Burmese border, and these two young lads were having a picnic. So I thought I'd join them for a photograph. They didn't know what's this crazy white guy doing. Why is he sitting down with us? You know, they don't know what's going on. Different foods. And this is my old motorcycle. When I left Thailand, I sold this motorcycle. It was a very special one, and the guy who bought it had fixed it up. It's all been modified, and I was very happy to see that it was still alive. It was parked at a motorcycle shop one day when I was walking around town. And this is the students, ex-students of ours. This guy here, he runs the coffee shop, so he closed it. It was closed one night, and he said, we can go to my coffee shop and have a little picnic there.
Aw.
Yeah, it's really great. All of these kids that we taught, 2007, 2008, and 2009, all had graduated from university and were working in different jobs. Funny book. More food. I'm going to go a little fast because I've got a few pictures that were taken while we were in Thailand of the most spectacular festival that we had been to, and I just wanted to show it to you. So we were eating at a restaurant. I thought this girl's t-shirt was very interesting. More Golden Triangle pictures. This is a big tourist attraction. This area, right, you know, I think we're like here, you know, and this is, I can't read this sign. That's Thailand, that's Myanmar, and that's Laos. And I saw a group of Chinese tourists posing for a picture. So I said, oh, one, don't move, don't move, don't move. Again, the big giant head. Some Watts, more food. I want to get to these. Okay, there's a bunch of, I don't know, this is sculpture or food, I don't know. I think there's a bunch of them there. I think it's made for art. I don't think it's really made to eat. I think it's like a display or something. I really can't remember. It must have been at some fair that we were at. We saw them. Really, really interesting. And one time almost all the motorcycles in Thailand are small, but in the last 10 years or so, numbers of people have gotten rich and they're importing the big bikes, mostly Japanese, the BMWs and all that kind of stuff. We came across this group that were traveling with all their equipment. One guy making a joke there. Another common sight, if you go anywhere, like on a weekend, ladies selling lottery tickets. Okay. Again, trying to play the fool. You can see the people in the background thought that my pose on the bicycle was not normal. And this was our favorite restaurant in Chiang Mai when we were teaching there, and it had actually changed location, but again, all Sandar had to do was punch into her phone, and we found the new location around the corner, this crispy pork meal. And there's the other part of the menu. Here's, for example, 20 baht is about, in American money, maybe 70 cents, something like that. So the meal was, what is it, 80 baht, 100 baht, like $4, something like that. Ah, boy, I want this. I really like that. You know, I would love to drive around here, Redland Bay, with a cover on my motorcycle with a roof. Of course, they're no good for high speed, of course, but in the small towns in Thailand, people would never go over 30 or 40 miles an hour, maybe not even that. Okay, here's some signs. I'm going to skip through this. You don't get a chance. I want to show these last pictures. Food. Okay, so these pictures now I think are ones that we took while we were working there. This is an umbrella festival that they have every year in a small town near Chiang Mai. I always wanted to look pretty. There's some of our students in one of our classes. I think that would be about a grade 9 class. And this was there. It's my old motorcycle, the one that we had for 3 years in Chiang Mai. And of course, we would travel sometimes in the rainy season, so you had to get used to pulling over at some kind of a roadside stop for a while, wait for the rain to finish off. Okay, here's the festival. This is called the Ficaton Festival, and the next pictures are of this festival where people dress up, and it's absolutely fantastic. And at the time that we were there, it was not well known, but I think now it's publicized internationally, and people go to Thailand especially to see this festival. And it's something like ghosts or something like that. These guys dress up and they have a parade, and just crazy costumes. And they're trying to emulate. And I don't know why they lay on the ground, but if they're going to lay on the ground, I'll lay on the ground too. And they have many different, they have a parade also. And the year that we were there were a lot of Japanese tourists. Like it was a photography club. A photography club went from Japan, especially to this town at this time to get pictures of this festival. I hope I didn't spoil their pictures. Floats. Okay, here's my 1 hour. So I've just got a few more pictures. And I don't know what this part is, but these guys all dressed up like mud and okay. Look away if sexual symbols are insulting for you. So they have statues and they show replications of male genitalia. There's one of the guys in the parade, and more parade pictures. This was when they were all on their tea break. They all put their face masks in a circle. More pictures. And this one, there was a lot of this in the parade also. I'm not sure what these two humans are doing, but when the guy was pulling the trigger, they were moving up against each other. I have no idea what they would have been trying to represent. And you don't have any idea either, Kathleen.
Is that like a little toy? I mean,
Yes, it's a little toy. I won't put it on to embarrass anybody. Yeah, it's a little toy, handmade toy. And I think this might be the last picture. This was the place that we stayed there. They in this town, because so many people come for this festival, they open up all the houses. You don't have to stay at a hotel. It turned out what we did was we just drove along the road, and we realized that the houses that had a place for you to stay had like a particular sign in front. Of course, it was in Thai. We couldn't read the sign, but we finally figured out that that sign must mean that you can stay in one of their rooms. So that's what we did. And just before we left, that's our luggage, because this was about 150, 200 miles from our town. So this is, as we were leaving, they ran out and said, "Oh, look, we've got these two pictures, face masks. You can take a picture with them." So that was our parting picture.
how nice.
And that's it.
Wow. Well, there were a couple questions from the chat, and somebody wanted to know what restaurant app Sandar was using on her phone.
I don't think we knew anything about apps. You just have Google. The app is called Google. What's that bit? Breakfast near me. Breakfast near me, open now. That's the app. It's not an app. You just put those words into Google, and it tells you where to go.
Okay. Let's see. Sandra says that Thai massage is the best kind.
There are many. There are many, and you really have to pick. Sometimes it works out well, and sometimes it doesn't. Because Sandar doesn't really speak the language, and they don't speak either English or Burmese, she has to try and guess whether they're going to push hard or not push hard. Well, I would suggest that after her massages in Thailand, 50% of the time she tells me, yes, it was really great. The other 50% she says, no, that one wasn't so good.
Interesting. Okay. So your students that you saw, one of them was starting a coffee business, and another one looked like they had their own restaurant. Is entrepreneurism something that is a familiar concept in Thailand?
Of course, of course. You know, there's so many small businesses, it's crazy. But to add to your knowledge about that particular situation, we taught in English. I taught physics and chemistry, and Sandar taught math and computer science. And we taught in a large, I'll pick a number here, 1,500 student government high school, considered to be one of the better ones in the city of Chiang Mai, a city of about 500,000 people. But the vast majority of students at that school would have almost all of their education in the Thai language. However, it has become very popular for parents to pay a higher fee, and the school starts off an English program where the students take the majority of their subjects in English. And that's the part that we were in. So all of the students in our classes had two particular characteristics. One, their parents were particularly interested in them becoming fluent in English. And two, they had money. And almost all of the parents that fit into that description are parents who own their own business. So most of those students, when they graduated from university, and they all went to university after high school, when they graduated from university, they moved into the family business. So that, you know, they don't have any difficulty finding employment. I have one guy, I was quite disappointed out of the class that we got most familiar with and got along with the best. We both taught them, so we ended up teaching them like 3 or 4 periods a day between the two of us. I only was able to get, I think, 3 engineers out of that class. You know, I'm an engineer, and of course I promote that. So, but one of them, I just got a photograph from him the other day, and he went and worked for Nissan. A lot of cars are now manufactured in Thailand, and he worked for them for about 5 or 6 years. And I'm sure that was part of the plan. He would go work for an independent company for a number of years, and now he's back in Chiang Mai managing his father's automotive repair shop, you know, with 50 employees. That type of thing was quite common for students that we taught.
Okay. I'm fascinated by the culture in other countries. Thank you. Carolyn asked if she can't digest soy, gluten. It's in Asian countries.
We're
If
losing
she
your audio.
can't eat soy like base grain.
Kathy, you're losing your audio.
Yeah, Mary, you come through
Oh.
well. You can ask the question.
I don't know what the question is or the answer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think somewhere we're not getting any clear talking from Kathleen.
Breaking up.
It's my question. I cannot digest soy. I get sick just like people who can't digest gluten. Would I starve to death in an Asian country?
I have no idea because I don't really know what they put inside. I would suggest no. One of the one of the common meals is chicken and rice, where the rice is cooked in the normal way, and slabs of chicken breast are put on top. I don't think there'd be any soy in that, but as far as what's that?
They use soy sauce.
Yeah, there's lots of soy sauce that is used according to Sandar.
Yeah, and soy flour. I get real sick from soy flour.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah,
and
no.
you know, you can't tell if it's in there. I can tell
Yeah.
once I eat it.
Right, right. Yeah, well, because we have no experience with that other than Sandar knowing that soy is used in a lot of the dishes, I can't suggest, you know, like I say, yeah, I think I've tried to make it clear that we're pretty non-discriminatory in respect to what we eat. We've never had a bad meal in Thailand.
Mm.
Hi, this is Gail. I have questions about education. I'm wondering if
Well,
if girls have the same opportunities for education that the boys do, and in higher education, can the young women get loans, A, for education, B, for going into business?
Of course, I have no knowledge whatsoever of the finances, other than to say to you that all of the students that we taught went on to university. As far as I could see in Thailand in the 3.5 years that I lived there, I saw no difference between the opportunities available for women or men. Absolutely none. It's not even a question. Not, you know, I never saw anything about that. The universities, by our standards, getting into university seemed to really require only the ability to sustain yourself at home, and the fees were, by Western standards, very, very low.
Okay. Are there any other?
I have an
Uh,
answer from Marilyn. I have a fish and seafood allergy, which is a lot of what they eat around that area.
Mhm.
I do two things. I bring flashcards that you can buy that shows a picture of a fish with a line through it, or this with a line through it. And then I get somebody in that language to write on a piece of paper, I'm allergic to blah, blah. And
Okay.
show it to each person as they feed me. And it worked pretty well. Only once I ordered pork dumplings and they used shrimp paste as a flavoring. So
Mm.
that's what I do when I go.
Okay. I can rarely eat in an Asian restaurant, and I love the food. I haven't always had that, I used to be able to digest it. I don't know what happened, but.
Me too. I ate fish and seafood my whole life and now I can't. But
Mhm.
They're pretty good about following instructions when they can read it and understand it.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
folks, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you enjoyed it, and might be able to get a chance to do another one sometime in the future. We'll see. Like I said, I had a lot of Thailand pictures, although you're probably bored with Thailand by now. Okay,
We're not.
bye-bye.
Ron, I'm sorry my kids missed you getting taught by you here in Riverdale.
Right.
I enjoyed it.